abs are made in the kitchen, not the gym. And if you're looking to lose some weight in the new year, maybe get that six-pack or lose that muffin top like yours truly, you gotta eat healthy. Joining us this morning is Janan Bana, nutritionist from the University of Hawaii. Good morning, Janan. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing very well. Thanks.
Now, first off, what is considered a healthy diet?
I would say there are a lot of misconceptions about this. So many times people think of a healthy diet as a diet that consists mainly of salad, for example. But of course, we know that there's a lot more to it. And we really want to think about getting everything that we need from our diet. So thinking about vitamins and minerals, the right fat, protein, etc., having a balance between the different food groups. And myplate.gov is a really great resource to show you what those food groups are, thinking of our fruits, vegetables, our grains, thinking of those protein sources. So we want to have that balance between the various food groups. We want to have a variety of foods. So in the various food groups, we want to eat different foods. And we also want to practice that idea of moderation. So thinking of not having too much sugar, saturated fat, or sodium. So avoiding some of those foods that we think of as ultra processed, some of those chips, cookies, soda, and the like.
Now, I know small changes to your diet can make a big difference in your weight loss journey. What are some simple changes that people can make in the kitchen?
In the kitchen, I would think about perhaps looking at the source of fat that you're using. So if you use a lot of butter, that's quite a big source of saturated fat. So perhaps switching to sources of unsaturated fat, such as olive oil. And then you can really think about getting enough fiber in your diet. That's something that a lot of people struggle with. And you can make small changes in terms of perhaps adding some chia seeds to your oatmeal, adding some flax. So these are different ways to add more fiber, getting in some vegetables. If you don't typically put those on your plate, you can add servings of vegetables and try preparing them in different tasty ways. I like to make lots of creative dishes, such as a lentil loaf, which includes lentils and a lot of different vegetables. So those are different ways to add fiber in the diet and look at the source of fat you're using. And you can really experiment and think about the foods that you love and how you can do some new things with them.
And I know a lot of people struggle with sugar cravings. I mean, I love to eat chocolate chip cookies, peanut M&M's chips. I mean, the list goes on and on. Any suggestions on fighting those cravings?
Yeah, I would say that first, you want to make sure that you're eating enough quote unquote real food. So you want to think about having that balanced plate and getting enough of those whole grains, enough of the protein, of the fruits and vegetables. And if you're eating enough of what you really need in the diet, that will help you to stay satisfied so that hopefully you don't have so many sugar cravings and you're not hungry all the time. And then in addition to that, you can think about trying some alternatives and looking at what might satisfy you but still have a sweet taste and be nutritious. I like to do a lot of things with frozen bananas. So you can simply blend it with milk and make a sort of ice cream that's really nutritious and doesn't contain all of that added sugar that you might find in conventional ice cream. And one other thing to note is that you may just want to allow yourself some of whatever it is you've been craving. So if you really want to have that chocolate cake, go right ahead. Just really savor it, be mindful, take your time when eating it. And that's perfectly fine as well as a way to satisfy your cravings.
I like that. And now, how do you keep your clients motivated? Because turning these healthy eating habits into a daily routine takes a very strong mindset.
Certainly true. I would say that it's really important to make those small changes. So I make sure that we're not doing too much at once. For example, if they're not eating any vegetables, we'll add one serving of vegetables to the plate at lunch, and then we'll check in and see how that's going. If that's going well, we'll add perhaps a serving of vegetables at dinner. So we do a little bit at a time. We make sure that we're always keeping those foods they enjoy on the plate because it's important not to cut out all favorite foods. Of course, we want to continue enjoying the diet. So I think that's a really important point that to stay motivated, you have to continue to enjoy your food as one of the important points.
Let me ask you this, Janan, because a lot of people want to be like, oh, the Mediterranean diet or fasting is the way to go. And every year there's something new. What do you say about those type of diets?
So I would say that we really want to return to these basic principles that I mentioned at the beginning of our interview. We really get away from those basic principles, and a lot of these fad diets do not contain all of the nutrients we need. They might be too high in particular nutrients such as saturated fat. So we really want to think about those four principles that I mentioned in terms of the balance, adequacy, moderation, and variety. And we want to ask ourselves, is the diet adhering to those principles?
All right, Janan Bana, thank you so much. Some great tips. Hopefully, we can all drop that weight and keep that healthy eating lifestyle. Thank you so much and have a great new year.
My pleasure, and same to you.